Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who is unpacking from a long week that we just spent in Anaheim, California with the family at the Star Wars Celebration convention, and I haven't unpacked my hair gel, so you're going to get floppy doppy Professor Sky here. Which I think might be fitting. I don't know. I'm going to be reviewing the new song by My Chemical Romance. This feels like this is more appropriate. Maybe I should do like one of these or something. Maybe this is a little more My Chemical Romance. You tell me in the comments, how could I do my hair to look more My Chemical Romance-y? And if you've been following the channel for a long time, you'll know that My Chemical Romance is a very, very important band in this house, the house where I record. My daughter, when she was younger, especially in 6th grade, was really into MCR, really into Panic at the Disco. She was, like many of us do when we're young, kind of trying on different personalities and different likes and interests. And I never disparaged My Chemical Romance. I never looked down on it, because if your kid is trying to find identity through music, that's not so bad, right? Like, there's other ways of finding identity through, like, what you consume or how you dress that's maybe a little bit less interesting. But through music, I liked it. So I'm interested that now it's 2022. I think it's been, like 10 years since they've released something. And I find this to be an interesting object, this new song, The Foundations of Decay. Because, like, more than I would say even the Star Wars saga, My Chemical Romance is one of these bands that is so attached to the past. I mean, more even than the Rolling Stones or the Grateful Dead or, bands that we might think of as being very sort of retro. My Chemical Romance filled... Now, mind you, I wasn't paying attention to music when they were big, right? But I was vaguely aware of them, and now I've learned sort of in studying since, they were such a time and place, and they were such an expression of a generation, especially a certain portion of the generation, a kind of middle class, upper middle class, suburban, American ennui, the growth of goth culture, the transition of goth culture into more sort of nerd culture in general. And so as a band that hasn't released anything in a long time, they have a huge thing to do. Like, if they're just coming back, and they're just coming back to do a show or to do a tour, that's enough. But releasing this song, that means there's going to be more. That means they are not going to be a review act. They're not going to be like that weird-ass concert that happened in, what was it, Las Vegas or something, that was like all the 90s bands. Like, they are trying to remain artistically relevant. Now, this makes sense. Gerard Way has been active. I've reviewed some of his solo material. He has a TV show. He has comic books. He's a very active person. Thankfully, he's the same age that I am, so whenever my daughter thinks that I'm old, I can just say, well, I'm Gerard Way, years old. But what I really find fun about this is listening to this, and I listened to this song a couple times with my daughter while we were traveling. She would be here on the video right now, but she has like a week's worth of homework to catch up on, so she can't be here. I will tell you what she thought of the song. But it's trying to see, how do they respond? How does My Chemical Romance respond to the fact that the people who are listening to this music are primarily people who listened to their music in the past, when it meant something to them. In a way, it's not that different to Star Wars, like people my age, when the new movies came out in the late 90s, we kind of got mad because we didn't feel the way we felt when we were 5 years old. Damn it, George Lucas, make me 5 years old again. Damn it, Gerard Way and Mikey Way and Jimmy Flossbottoms, whatever the rest of their names are, make me feel like I was 12 again and back at the mall and going to Hot Topic, right? So they have a real challenge, and I'm interested in studying that. I'm seeing my notes. So I normally type out my notes, but I took all these notes while I was at the Star Wars convention, and my daughter did some drawings. There's a drawing of her in 6th grade. This is how she felt listening. And so what I liked about her and her comments about the song was she said, I like it. It's really good. I mean, it's not my jammy jam, because I don't listen to My Chemical Romance that much anymore, but I recognize that it's good, and I'm really happy that it's there. Is she my daughter or is she my daughter? And then she did a drawing of me if I were if I were emo, which, come on. I mean, I'll show it to you one more time. That's a pretty good drawing. And so I think she really hit on something there, right? That, like, she was able to recognize that if she were still this girl, who looks a lot like Link in Windwalker, the video game, if she were still Windwalker, she would love this song, and she would have really connected to it. And I think that might be one of its great successes, because the thing about My Chemical Romance, and this is a way that they are like the Grateful Dead, is that when people get into them, it doesn't matter how old they were when they came out. When my daughter got into My Chemical Romance, it didn't matter that they'd been broken up for years. It was totally new to her. That experience, the emotions that this music brings out. And so my general review of this song is that it is a successful take on the My Chemical Romance formula. It is a successful build. It is a successful build. See, I don't edit my videos, so I'm screwed, because I just said it's a successful build, that doesn't mean anything. It's a successful build. I'm also tired. I flew from Anaheim last night. Had a really bumpy trip. I'm afraid of flying. I was sitting there, I was like meditating and praying at the same time. Now someone's taking a shower. It successfully builds on what they did before. It's goth-ish, with this kind of gothy title, The Foundations of Decay. It's very epic. It has so much movement, these nice kind of slight genre shifts. It's cinematic. It tells a story. It does all of those things that I heard on the Black Parade. Now, if you don't know, the Black Parade is the only album I've ever reviewed by them. Back when my daughter looked like a Windwalker daughter, I did a review of that because she likes this band so much, or she liked this band so much, that she refused to let me listen to it because she didn't want me to take it away, because I'm a big presence, blah, 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 I'm your dad, right? So I've only heard this, but this very clearly builds on what they were doing with the Black Parade. So I'll put a link to that at the end. It's very cute. My daughter dresses me up all emo. She puts eyeshadow on me. It's very funny. So here are the questions about this song. Is this song bad for the reasons that it's good? Like, what makes My Chemical Romance good is the same thing that makes it bad. It's that it is so My Chemical Romance. It is so emo with loud soft and angry, slightly goth imagery. And mostly, it is so earnest. That's the thing that emo kids get that non-emo kids don't. Emo kids don't have to be slaves to irony. They can just be earnest. If they feel like they're alienated and dark and sad as teenagers, then they can feel alienated and dark and sad. They don't need that layer of irony over it. So the reason I'm proud of my daughter is that she doesn't listen to this band anymore. We're going to see them in concert. We bought tickets back when my daughter was an MCR superfan, and then COVID happened, and now she's like, yeah, cool, I look forward to going to the show. But that she was able to connect it and able to see what a good version. Now, let's go through the song a little bit. As far as the quiet, loud bit, it starts very quiet with what I call an Aerosmith's opening. So that's a combination, I think, of Aerosmith and its song Dream On, which Aerosmith's first three albums are all as good rock and roll albums as have ever been created, okay? So don't come at me with Aerosmith sucks. They do suck. But they've also released at least 3, probably up to 6 classic albums that are as good as anything the Rolling Stones ever did. I said it. And their first album, which had Dream On, I hear very much a lot of Dream On in this song, the kind of sweet, soft guitar, kind of the whispery dynamics. But then the guitar work reminds me of a different Boston area band, the Pixies, in particular Where's My Mind, with kind of a slightly wonky, detuned guitar work over it. The vocals on this opening part are a little bit lost. I don't know if that's like a thing that they do traditionally, but all these vocals about like a man on a hill. Again, very romantic lyricism. I don't mean romantic like, I mean romantic like the image of a human being as being alone against the elements, off to challenge everybody. And then we get to this really bombastic chorus with these walls of guitars and this anthem. And they love anthems. That's what they do, right? And I'm excited because I'm going to be going to that concert. I'm going to be going to that My Chemical Romance concert in Toronto with my daughter. And I'm positive the second that the lights go down, she is going to go right back she's going to go right back to Windwalker. She's going to go right back there and be so excited. And I'm going to be pumped. And my son will be pumped, even though he's never given into My Chemical Romance. And my wife, because the power of their music, if you could just turn off that little switch that tells you to be cynical and ironic, we're just going to be sitting there. Da, 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 da. The second verse has some of those lyrics that are just like, he was there the day the towers fell, and so he wandered down the road. It sounds like Jack Black wrote these lyrics. He was there when the towers fell, and so he walked on down the road. First ever Jack Black impersonation, 667 episodes in. And we would all build towers of our own, only to watch the rooms corrode. Beautiful. Beautiful. Is this song too MCR? Could I do a negative review of this song where I just blasted it for being what it is? Of course. But that's not what this channel's about. This is a positive cho. This is a positive cho. Like Margaret or Chang. This is a positive cho. I'm really tired. Then we get to the breakdown, which is just great. Again, I think they're writing the song with the tour in mind. A total metal breakdown. Da-na, da-na, against faith. Da-na, 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 against all odds. I'm gonna get tattoos. Right here it's gonna say against faith, and then here it's gonna say against all odds. And when I'm at the show, I'm gonna be like against all faith. Okay, I'm getting too into this. Beautiful bridge outro. The drums here are quite good, like kind of like double time drums. I guess the drummer's the only one that keeps changing in the band. And then has a beautiful outro. And the outro, lyrically, completely saves the song. Because he's screaming, but when you read the lyrics, it is get up, coward. And that's my favorite part. Because this is the sort of end, the anthemic part, which, as you know, what are they called, those German guys? Rammstein will show. Anything that's metal and anthemic can sound kind of fascist, right? Marilyn Manson discovered this as well. You know, if you just sort of, Pink Floyd for that matter, if you have something that's very anthemic and built for stadiums and getting everybody kind of chanting all at the same time, you can't help but have fascistic overtones. So the fact that what they're saying is get up, coward, I think is beautiful. I think that's a great sign of hope. I think it's this image that he's creating of this romantic hero who's getting up, which represents us, I think, as a society, like rising up out of our pain and out of our confusion and out of our disillusionment, and My Chemical Romance themselves getting up and facing the world. And, you know, going back to the day the towers fell, apparently the band started after September 11th, and Gerard Way decided that he needed to do something to help humanity. And God damn it, he did it. So you can laugh, Mr. Cynical, or Ms. Cynical, or Mrs. Cynical, or Dr. Cynical, or Cynical Esquire. You can laugh at the fact that My Chemical Romance was started by somebody who thought that they needed to do something to make the world a better place after 9/11. But he did it. You know, the American military didn't do that. The American president just told us to go shopping, all right? I mean, he went up and he started this band, and this band helped a lot of people through a lot of hard times in their life. Not directly related to September 11th, but, you know, with their themes of inclusion and how to deal with alienation and sort of ways of funneling a lot of those dark feelings that you have to sort of becoming a more loving and emotive human being. I think My Chemical Romance actually did it. I think My Chemical Romance is one of the best results of September 11th. One of the most positive outcomes of September 11th. There. I ended on a hot take. Anyways, I don't even know what the hell I'm going to do. I haven't been listening to music. I've just been sitting around listening to Star Wars and waiting in line. So, what album should I review next? You can tell me that in the comments if you want. Because I really don't know. I just don't know what I'm doing. I kind of like having floppy doppy hair. It reminds me of when I was in high school. When I was in high school, I had my hair was always over like this. So this is how I did my hair in high school, all the time. And I'd always do this. Because I always had to get out of my... I'd let it grow super long, and then it would follow my nose, so it'd just get all wavy off to one side. There's the camera.